Imagine this: a sudden flash in the sky and then darkness. Every electronic device you rely on is dead. This is not a scene from a sci-fi movie. This is an EMP event. An EMP, or an electromagnetic pulse, is a burst of electromagnetic energy that can be triggered by a variety of sources: nuclear detonations, solar flares, or even specially designed non-nuclear devices. This brief yet powerful burst can wreak havoc on our electronically dependent world, potentially sending us back to a time before the digital age. Now, let's break down what an EMP can do. Picture your day-to-day life. The morning alarm that wakes you up, the coffee machine that brews your favorite blend, the smartphone you check for messages, the car you drive to work, the computer you use, and the TV you unwind with at the end of the day. An EMP event can instantly render these devices useless. It's not just your personal gadgets either. The impact extends to our power grids, crippling our infrastructure. Streetlights, hospitals, water treatment facilities, without electricity, they all come to a grinding halt. Think it can't happen? Solar flares, which are natural EMPs, are a common celestial occurrence. The last significant one, known as the Carrington event, took place way back in 1859, causing telegraph systems across Europe and North America to fail. Today, a similar event would be far more catastrophic, given our dependence on technology. Man-made EMPs, on the other hand, are not just figments of Hollywood imagination. A nuclear detonation high in the atmosphere can create an EMP with a wide-ranging effect. And it's not just nations with nuclear capabilities that pose a threat. Non-nuclear EMP devices, while not as destructive, can still cause significant localized damage. So we've painted a pretty dark picture here, but it's not all doom and gloom. Humanity has survived and thrived before the invention of microchips, and we can do so again. The key lies in preparation and adaptability. Now let's dive into how we can survive in a world changed by an EMP event. In the wake of an EMP event, we're thrown back in time technologically. So how do you navigate, communicate, or even travel? Imagine a world without GPS, smartphones, and modern vehicles. It's not an apocalypse movie scenario, but a possible reality after an EMP event. In such a situation, we'd rely on technology from a simpler era, free from microchips and digital interfaces. Manual typewriters, for instance, would be our new laptops. Seemingly obsolete, these mechanical marvels don't need electricity or internet to work. They are simple, sturdy, and most importantly, EMP-proof. Navigation would also go old school. Remember paper maps and compasses? They were our ancestors' trusted tools for centuries and can be ours too. Without the convenience of digital maps, a compass and a paper map could be your guiding stars. Now let's talk about travel. Post-1980 vehicles, with their reliance on electronic ignition systems, would be rendered useless by an EMP. But vehicles built before the 1980s, with their mechanical ignition systems, would still be operational. So that vintage car in your grandpa's garage might just be your ticket to mobility in a post-EMP world. Lastly, communication. Without cell phones and internet, we'd have to resort to primitive methods. Morse code, once the backbone of long-distance communication, could become vital again. It's a simple, yet effective way to send messages when modern channels are down. Of course, mastering these old technologies would require some learning and practice, but think of it as a form of insurance, a way to ensure that you can adapt and thrive even when modern conveniences are stripped away. In the absence of our digital conveniences, these old-school tools become our lifeline. Remember, in the world of survival, it's not the most technologically advanced who thrive, but those who can adapt best to the circumstances. And sometimes that means looking to the past for solutions. With electricity gone, how do we keep our food from spoiling? It's a question that wrestles with the minds of many when the power goes out. But fret not. History provides us with answers that have stood the test of time. First, let's talk about smoking. No, not that kind of smoking. I'm talking about the age-old technique of smoking meats and fish to extend their shelf life. This process involves exposing the food to smoke, which not only gives it a unique and delicious flavor, but also helps to dry it out, thus slowing the growth of spoilage-causing bacteria. Next up, we have salting and curing. Salt, my friends, is more than just a flavor enhancer. It's a potent preservative that has been used for millennia. By generously coating your food in salt, you draw out the moisture, creating an environment that's not so friendly for bacteria. Curing takes this one step further by adding nitrates or nitrites to the mix, which not only adds flavor but also kills certain bacteria outright. Now let's journey underground to the humble root cellar. This is a cool, Dark environment perfect for storing fruits, vegetables, and other perishables. The consistent temperatures and high humidity levels in these subterranean pantries can keep your produce fresh for months. Lastly, consider communal solutions. Ice houses and spring houses are shared structures that take advantage of natural cold sources to keep food cool. In an ice house, blocks of ice harvested during winter are used to chill the space, while a spring house is built over a spring or stream to take advantage of the cool water flowing beneath. These methods have been used for centuries and can ensure we have food despite the lack of modern conveniences. So, if the lights go out, don't despair. Remember, our ancestors survived without electricity, and with a little knowledge and preparation, so can we. What if we could protect some of our important devices from the EMP? Well, the good news is we can. This is thanks to a nifty little invention known as a Faraday cage. So, what exactly is a Faraday cage? Named after the scientist Michael Faraday, who invented it in the early 19th century. A Faraday cage is a shield that protects its contents from static and non-static external electric fields. Now, in layman's terms, a Faraday cage is a protective shell that can safeguard our electronic devices from the devastating effects of an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP for short. But how does it work? Well, it's all to do with how the cage interacts with the electromagnetic fields. When an EMP strikes, it sends out a wave of electromagnetic energy. A Faraday cage, when properly constructed, will distribute this energy around the exterior of the cage, preventing it from reaching the devices inside. Now you might be wondering, do I need a science degree to build this thing? The answer is no. You can actually create a simple Faraday cage at home using readily available materials. For instance, a galvanized steel trash can with a tight-fitting lid can serve as an effective Faraday cage. You can also use aluminum foil, which is a cheap and easy-to-find material. Just be sure to fully enclose the device you're protecting with the foil and ensure there are no gaps. So what should you store in your homemade Faraday cage? Well, consider the devices that would be most important in a post-EMP world. Radios for communication and news updates should be at the top of your list. Emergency medical equipment such as a defibrillator or insulin pump could also be life-saving. Power tools, which could aid in repairs and construction, would also be a valuable inclusion. With a Faraday cage, we can keep some of our crucial devices safe from the EMP. It's a small step, but in the aftermath of an EMP event, every bit of preparation could make a world of difference. Surviving the immediate aftermath of an EMP event is one thing, but how do we live in the long term? This is the question that challenges us to think beyond just the basics of survival. It's about creating a new world order without the convenience of modern technology. In the wake of an EMP event, one of the first things we need to focus on is re-establishing community services. This might seem like a daunting task, but remember, humanity has thrived for thousands of years without electricity. We can do it again. This is where the strength of a community comes into play. Pooling resources, sharing knowledge, and working together towards common goals can help us rebuild essential services. Now, let's talk about the importance of old-school skills. In a world without microchips, skills like blacksmithing, woodworking, and analog mechanical repair become invaluable. It's time to dust off those forgotten arts and put them to use. But it's not just about possessing these skills, it's about sharing them. A community that learns together, grows together. With traditional currency systems likely disrupted, we would need to think about alternative ways to facilitate the exchange of goods and services. This could mean setting up local markets where people can barter essential items. Remember, in a post-EMP world, a fresh loaf of bread or a skilled carpenter might be worth more than a stack of paper money. The key to surviving in the long term is adaptability. We would need to relearn how to live without the conveniences we take for granted. But with resilience, innovation, and a strong sense of community, we can not only survive but thrive. So don't let the thought of an EMP event scare you. Yes, it would be challenging, but it would also be an opportunity to rediscover the strength of human spirit, the power of community, and the value of skills that have stood the test of time. By coming together as a community, we can not just survive but thrive in a world changed by an EMP. The EMP event has happened. Now, how do we recover? That's the question we're tackling today, folks. First and foremost, we need to assess the damage. Don't underestimate this step. It's crucial. It's not just about whether your toaster still works. It's about understanding what technology we have left and how we can best use it. Next, we need to repair what we can. If you've got a knack for tinkering, now's your time to shine. Whether it's a generator, a radio, or a car, if you can get it up and running, you've just increased your survival odds. Remember, knowledge is power, so don't be shy about sharing your skills with others. Life after an EMP event will undoubtedly be simpler, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. We'll have to adjust to a slower pace without the convenience of modern technology. We'll have to rediscover the joy of manual labor, the satisfaction of creating something with our own two hands. And it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving too. We'll need to find joy and contentment in the little things, like the taste of a home-cooked meal, the warmth of a hand-knit sweater, the sound of a guitar strummed around a campfire. We'll need to relearn how to connect with each other, not through screens, but face-to-face, heart-to-heart. Lastly, we must embrace resilience and innovation. Resilience is what keeps us going when the going gets tough. It's what helps us rise from the ashes, stronger and wiser than before. And innovation, well, that's what will help us find new solutions to old problems, what will keep us moving forward, even when the road ahead seems daunting. The post-EMP world may be a challenge, but it's one we're fully capable of meeting. With patience, perseverance, and a little bit of elbow grease, we can build a future that's not just about surviving, but thriving. With the right mindset and strategies, we can adapt and overcome the challenges of a post-EMP world. Surviving an EMP event might seem daunting, but as we've seen, it's not impossible. With a good understanding of what an EMP is and the potential damage it can cause, we can start making preparations. We've delved into the importance of older technologies that become essential, like manual typewriters, hand-cranked radios, and traditional navigation tools. We've explored methods to preserve perishable goods without electricity, such as smoking meats and using root cellars. We've also explained how to create an EMP-proof room with a Faraday cage to protect your crucial electronic devices. We've discussed long-term survival strategies, emphasizing community learning and the sharing of old-school skills. And finally, we've talked about preparing for recovery, assessing and repairing damage to existing technology where possible, and adapting to a simpler lifestyle. Remember, preparation is the key. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share with others who might find this useful, and subscribe for more survival tips. Stay prepared, stay safe.